I really love this new moon, especially after the full moon in Scorpio that we had. If you want to read more about what I went through during the full moon in Scorpio, but a lot of conversations that I'm having, there like a lot of emotions came up, a lot of purging, a lot of tough things, which is very on brand for Scorpio. But now this is the next new moon after that full moon in Scorpio. So if you felt a lot of things coming up, if you were releasing a lot, if you were facing some uncomfortable truths or needing to be emotionally honest with yourself in some capacity, this new moon hopefully will feel a bit lighter, as well as give you an opportunity to speak what you wish for into existence. So the sign of Gemini is associated with communication, conversation, networking, local travel as well, traveling over here. So if we think of Gemini as a sign, looking at the high road and the low road, Gemini often gets a bad rep. And I truly love Gemini energy because it reminds us to employ that beginner's mind as well as to not take life so seriously. It really brings in some fresh energy. When I think of Gemini, I think of a toddler, like just learning how the world works around it, noticing things for the first time, like giggling about the way the leaves move or like falling down and then like having to get back up again or trying things a different way if it doesn't work. Also like touching things, feeling things, like putting them in your mouth, like just noticing how everything works. And I think sometimes as adults, we lose that. We become so routine oriented, which is great. But then they're also, I think, in like bringing in balance, I think there is something about seeing things for the first time again or noticing things around us. So I also wrote about this in the Gemini season challenge. So if you want to take a look at that as well, there's some really good tips in there to how you can really move through Gemini season and bring some of that fresh energy in. At the low road, we may feel overwhelmed, a little bit scattered, a little bit forgetful. It's also that energy where you're like walking out the door so quickly and you're like, "Ah, I forgot my keys, like my wallet, like I'm just so in the moment that, or maybe in those moments, you're not necessarily in the present moment, but you're in your head. So Gemini is ruled by Mercury. It's an air sign, it's mutable. So what that means to me is it gets busy up here. And the goal is to connect here and here. So your head and your heart. Oftentimes, people with Gemini placements can get stuck in the head. And the goal is to really ground down, bring it into the heart so that you are connected to your heart and the words match what you feel. So sometimes Gemini energy can really just talk, just to talk. And the goal is to really talk with intention, speak with truth and honesty, even if your truth and honesty changes. Gemini really is very good at knowing that both things can be true. There can be more than one truth. And it changes his mind very often. So, not necessarily saying like if you say something, you may change your opinion the next day, and that's okay. We're not locked into these ideas, and I think Gemini season is a great season to explore different ideas and to really question things and be curious and if like not taking things at face value. And I think that's something that Gemini does really well is to ask questions. And also, the goal is to listen more than we speak because Gemini can get that chattiness and like talk to talk and not really listen. So the goal is to listen and to learn because through listening is there's true communication. Otherwise, it's just one person talking at the other person and there's no back and forth. So if I look at the new moon, let's bring it up here. So what a new moon is when the sky is dark. You can't see the moon in the sky. And it is a time to go within. So you may not be feeling so chatty and wanting to socialize, and that's okay. That might lift throughout the month, the rest of the month, but for the new moon energy, it may be more internal. You may want to sit with yourself and meditate. Like if we look at the glyph of Gemini, it's a column. So Gemini is actually at the highest expression, it can channel. It's very much like wisdom. There's wisdom in the sign of Gemini, and I think a lot of people don't talk about that. Like we look at the more superficial parts of Gemini and we see them as maybe flaky or surface level or whatever stereotype can go along with Gemini. But at the highest expression, it really does have great ideas and there's wisdom and it's quick and witty and intelligent. Like it's such a great sign. At the new moon, when we go within, you may want to sit with your thoughts. You may want to meditate. You may want to listen. Not only if there's another person in the room, but listen to what's inside. Oftentimes, with this quick energy, and we're coming out of Taurus season, which was more slow and sensual and body oriented. And now things, you may be feeling a little bit more overwhelmed now that there's so much energy in Gemini. So if we talk more about the new moon in Gemini, it's at 6 degrees. So look to where 6 degrees of Gemini is in your chart. For me, like I said, that's the 12th house. So there's a lot of letting go. There's some releasing. I just got my hair cut today, like releasing physically, releasing spiritually, connecting, reconnecting to spirit as well, my spiritual practice. And Gemini is a deeply spiritual sign. And I don't think we talk about that enough. But look to where 6 degrees of Gemini is in your chart. It's mutable air, so conversation, communication, learning, networking. It's very lighthearted energy as well. So not taking things so seriously. Whereas in Taurus season, we may have been a little bit more serious with that fixed earth, like, oh, okay, this is where I am. But now it's that opportunity to let go a little bit. Mutable energy is very good at letting go and releasing, and the air making things move and the ideas are flowing. So, like I said, Gemini can talk to talk, can be a little bit flaky or aloof, anxious or overwhelmed if there is too much mental stimulation. So, really sinking in and noticing, employing that beginner's mind, trying new things without the expectation, bringing in that curiosity. So I think during this new moon is a great time to get curious with yourself. So in Taurus season, we got clear on our values. With the new moon in Gemini, there's this opportunity to plant seeds of curiosity, of connection to our newfound values or our updated values, or maybe they've stayed the same, but our actions aren't necessarily aligned. So this is that opportunity to try the things that may better suit what you value and what resources you have. So, or what resources you'd like to tap into as well. This new moon is conjunct Mercury, which I love. There's so much mental energy, that Gemini energy, that pure Gemini energy. And I love this because it really does just like there may be ideas coming through and really giving yourself the opportunity to play with them a little bit, flirt with them a little bit, and not take things so seriously. Also, if you try something, you don't have to stick with it. That's one of the beautiful gifts of Gemini. If you have any Geminis in your life, I do. And I know they are, it's funny to me because I am so fixed in my chart. But I love that Gemini, like so many of the Geminis that I love, they are the ones who start a hobby or they order all these things to, I'm going to start crafting. And then they start putting it together. And then it's like, I don't like this. This is boring. I'm going to not do that anymore. Or they order all these books and then it's like, oh, I'm going to read these books. And then they get like 3 pages in and it's like, no, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. So giving yourself that permission to drop things if they're not exciting anymore. You don't have to stick with it just because you've started it. So trying new things, being excited about life again, like that toddler energy of like touching things and maybe not putting things in your mouth, but like exploring things again with a new perspective. And it's also trine Pluto in Aquarius. So Pluto has moved into Aquarius until it moves in like 20 years. With the new moon trine Pluto in Aquarius, what this says to me is that these ideas that we have or the things that we're trying now are supported in our transformation and in the collective consciousness too, with bringing back our community roots or like the things that we really want to bring into our community. So these things that you're exploring right now may also turn into something that you can give back to the community. And even just by exploring these things, you're shifting the collective. So giving time to the things that are fun to you or the things that you want to try and not bringing shame into that or not thinking like, oh, I can't do that because I'm old already or like I don't have time for that. Um, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and we get to choose how we want to use those 24 hours. And obviously, people have different circumstances, and I don't want to lessen that, but I think it's very important, no matter what, is to like give ourselves that opportunity to at least be curious and to plant the seeds and to think about the things that might be exciting to us. And it's also sextile Saturn and Neptune in Aries, which is a big deal. Saturn in Aries, it just moved into Aries. So all of you Saturn and Aries people, happy Saturn return. These two planets, Neptune and Saturn, are going to conjunct in a couple of months. So this, like Neptune is already there. We're thinking about our spirituality, our independence. Like there's this sense of independence, like, what is my dream? What do I want for myself? What I'm hearing a lot of too, and I feel this within myself, it's like we're all sick of our own bullshit. And I think that's something that the full moon in Scorpio brought up too. It's just like, I am bored with myself. Like, I'm tired of the excuses that I'm making for myself. I want something different. And with Neptune and Saturn and Aries, especially Saturn and Aries, there's this opportunity to take action on the things that can get us out of that boredom with ourselves. It's like, okay, you're sick of yourself. What are you going to do about it? Like, honestly, what are you going to do about it? And I think this new moon can also support that. It's like, okay, what am I going to do about it? Be curious. Ask yourself those questions. What do I need to do in order to make my dream a reality? So, some questions to reflect on under the new moon if you do get into journaling or even just sitting with yourself and meditating on these questions. So, thinking about where am I sick of my own shit? Where in my life am I feeling a little bit bored or monotonous or the things that are like I'm just doing them because I think I should be doing them? What are those things? What area of life am I maybe feeling that way? You may be feeling that way or you may not be. And then also getting curious on where can I start to be more curious in my life? Or where am I being called to bring a little bit more curiosity to my life? And you can also look at the house that Gemini is in your chart to get a little bit more nuance. So when we look at the houses, that is the area of life that is being lit up by this new moon, especially at 6 degrees of Gemini. So it may bring a little bit more context. And then just setting an intention, saying it out loud, putting it in the comments. Speak it into existence. Gemini is all about the written word, the verbal word. It's all about words. It is the storyteller, it's the wordsmith. So putting it out there, saying it out loud, making it real. There is so much value to saying something out loud because there's that accountability piece that comes with it. It's like, okay, I've said it out loud. I think sometimes me, like I'm sometimes scared to say things out loud because then I'm like attached to it in some way. But with Gemini, remember, we don't have to attach ourselves to these things. We can say it, try it, and we don't have to keep going if it's not sustainable to our energy. But then also noticing if there's anywhere that we're giving up a little bit too early. So this could be another question to ask yourself under this new moon. Where am I non-committal? Where I feel like I could commit more in order to reach my dream. So sometimes there is this thing that happens when we are on the verge of a breakthrough where we don't want to go to that depth. And sometimes Gemini can fear that depth a little bit. And not necessarily just fear. It's like it can be just so busy on the surface and fluttering from this thing to this thing to this thing, and then not actually get anything done. So thinking about what is going to be required in order for you to get to that place of contentment, of excitement, of joy, of feeling purposeful, of feeling like when you wake up in the morning, yes, I'm so excited to wake up because I get to do this thing. So if there's anything that you're not committing to, ask yourself why. That's all I have for today. I hope you have a lovely new moon in Gemini. Make sure to journal, make sure to speak out your thoughts, talk to a friend, put it in the comments, start the conversation, get the energy moving. And that's what I'm so excited for with this Gemini season, just to get the energy moving, to get a little bit of fresh energy, to bring in some more inspiration. So I hope you have a great new moon in Gemini. We will see you hopefully live for the new moon in Cancer. Happy new moon.